Yeah, Cicada, a relatively small map. Only 3 zones on this one. Quite a bit different. Has a big stone to hide behind though. Has some stones on the sides as well. So there is still room for maneuver. And yeah, of Northern Blacklight coming in here with a lot of ships again. And it seems to be different ships. Lofty Navy, Empress, uses Vindication. Don't think that's the same ships we have seen before. I'm not sure what Hunter and Avalon will bring around. But it's gonna be interesting. So what is the first ship we see here? It's the HNTR Huntress, and that is good old Beamy boy. Okay. Beam boys back on the menu. Beam battleship. And another beam battleship. Double beam. Together with more beam destroyers. So 9 beams in general here. Together with a lot of... with 4 little sprinter boys that have guns on top of them. So yeah, this one is a full-on E-warfare. 2 of them have guns, I believe. And then this frigate here is for E-warfare. On the other side, another frigate with point defenses and E-warfare as well. Whilst on the other side, we have the same lineup actually. Okay, it's the same lineup once more for Ovnod and Blacklight. The 3 Ocellos, 2 line ships, and a lot of sprinters. 1 monitor with E-warfare. So this is going to be hot. Really excited for this grand final. As yeah, a lot of veterans here. Kind of the favorites of the tournament, I would say, from the get-go. These players here. And it's going to be interesting to see how the 2 beam battleships will hold up. No, only best of 1. It's a Swiss style format tournament. Only a best of 1 here. And yeah, last round of the Swiss format. These 2 are the only teams without any losses yet. So, gonna be interesting. B is going to be captured. C captured as well. A is the important point. It's a pretty straightforward map. Beam battleships come around, but immediately run into a firestorm here. From the line ships.
The enemy is securing Zone Atlas.
So they will have to take some careful routes here on this map. A, B, C. Really straightforward on this map. As we see in the meantime, one of these rocket ships trying to get into a position as well. Really quick action here. Quite a bit different to Honeycomb in the size. As yeah, line ships and the Ocellos here try their best to stay out of range while still dealing damage to these beam battleships. The beam battleships obviously try to use the cover to get close enough to then really burn down the enemy and burn down the house. And let's go. Yes. Coin flip decides between who picks OSP and ASN. Fire here on the battleship. Already quite significant, but not critical. Has to ramp up a bit more. As we see the next salvo here coming out soon. Autoloaders have reloaded. We see some rockets going towards the sprinter here as well. Not really achieving much yet. Sprinter's point defenses for now hold out well enough. Keep it alive. Battleship eats now the salvo from the line ships. And this one starts to take out modules. Modules getting reduced, but you can see a lot of repair stations. 11 restores on this battleship alone. As the first beams are fired towards the sprinter. Blue team, the one that was able to capture more zones, it seems. As the A zone is still getting contested over here.
The enemy is
Still
securing
actually
zone
neutral.
Atlas.
Blue team not quite able to finish it off and loses 2 of their sprinters here. Of their shuttles. As one of the beam battleships is moving around here. Second one took some cover as well. And the Ocellos and the line ships will have to maneuver nicely to get into position to fire again. Ocello firing really heavy fire towards this sprint over here, so at least A won't be captured by the red team either. So we will see a slow tick on both sides here most likely for the beginning of this game. As this is a lot of firepower onto Avalon's ship here. Really, really good hits as the beam battleships slowly tried to get themselves into position. The line ship have reloaded though, so they could come around for another salvo. That's how you want to play these ships. Fire, get into cover, fire, get into cover. So they're driving forward here now again. Will try to get themselves onto a position where they can hit that beam battleship maybe. And give it a bit of heat as the second beam battleship still tries to catch up. Beam destroyers a bit further behind as well, I believe. Yeah, they were kept behind mostly for now. So it's up to the battleships to bring the damage to the enemy. As the line ships now open up fire onto the battleship. Battleship tries to get behind into cover. One of the beams trying to get onto target. Both sides missing each other quite heavily. Only a couple of shots landing here. I believe the beam didn't do any damage at all. So, yeah. Not much happening after this battle. Not really decisive. Shuttles trying to go around. Can hit the enemy from up top here, for example. The Ocellos, with the Ocellos trying to maneuver a bit on the flank of this as well. You can go quite far into the open space on both sides. But you have to be careful there. With the Empress continuously hiding here now behind the rock. Empress moving around.
The enemy secured zone Atlas.
As these guys over here continue firing. Beam hunting for another shuttle. Battleships both hidden behind the rock. No, or not quite. Cellos here in a good spot. I believe quite slightly out of range. Really good maneuvering here with the two Ocellos. Trying to soften up the battleships a bit more. If these battleships can be taken out and reduced to maybe one, that would be quite big. One of the shuttles over here also doing a bit of work. As one of the beam destroyers here now is getting under fire, but luckily for the destroyer, not really locked on. So most of the shots missing the target. A couple will hit, will do a slight amount of damage. As both battleships able to hide behind the rock. Red team also now able to capture a point, putting blue on the spot. Blue team has to find a way of breaching this area around A point. And that won't be easy, but they have the means to maneuver around. So let's see how this goes. A lot of shots flying out here once more. Okay, frigate eating a couple of shots, nothing massive though. The two line ships maneuver to the south though and have a line of sight onto, or move to the bottom and have a shot onto battleship again. dealing a bit of damage. Actually, relatively few hits here once more. So this battleship still is in a fine state. But every bit of damage here does start to add up. You can see here a good couple of already orange systems. And the Ocellos find another angle once more. So the beam ships might have to make a run for it eventually. Trying to at least kill off one of these formations. It's a really, really interesting and intricate dance here between these rocks. Blue team trying to get into angles without exposing themselves to any beam fire, as the red team is just waiting for time to snap and lash out, or trying to be defensive enough that they can slowly but surely get enough of a point advantage to make this win. Oh, beam ships now setting up. Might try to hit this Ocello over here. We sadly don't quite have range indicators here. We see the shuttle down here now. Killing off one of the beam destroyers completely, actually. That is a massive, massive kill. The beam destroyer taken out here is really big. On the other side, 3 shuttles dead by now. So it's still a good amount of kills on both sides. But this for sure was a good one. As this Ocello here now has to get the hell out. One of the battleships trying to get towards it, firing some two-stage size 3 missiles at it. And if these could cripple the Ocello could be in massive, massive danger here. Let's see what the point defenses will do as we follow the first missile. Not many point defenses getting out, just enough though to get the kill onto the first one. The other two-stage missiles getting killed off as well. That was really, really important. A couple of these hits could have crippled the Ocello quite a bit, could have reduced its speed quite heavily. But in the meantime, this ship here actually gets softened up quite a lot as it gets hit once more from the ships from below as well. Ocellos here doing some good hits, and these beam battleships are in a really, really tough spot now. Beams hitting one of the Ocellos, but it's on a really big range. So the beam's actually not doing much damage. The Vindication trying to get away. Empress here in a bit of a tough spot as well. But this one's still relatively healthy. And at least can't be shot from down below. As blue team is starting to capture back the A point. Beam goes out. Will hit the Ocello. But it's on a long range, so yes, the damage is still there, and it actually gets the Whiplash Thrive critical, but it is not the same as it would be if it would be like 1000 or 1500 meter range closer, where these would just annihilate the Ocello immediately. As I said, Ocello still taking good damage here. Beams still for sure do a good amount of work, but now the Vindication here gets lit up heavily from below. These 2 line ships already did amazing work last game, and they start to do it here once more. Once more beam destroyers eating up some of the Ocellos. We have seen that last game as well. Beams really can eat through them quite quickly, but these are beams working on nearly max range, I believe, and that makes them a lot less efficient, especially as they can't stably stay on target either. Yeah, the Empress gets it up. And yeah, missile designing is a big part of this. Anti-missile missiles are a big part of this game as well. As the Empress here gets chewed up. And oh boy, she's not looking, is eating up the Siren Smoky. And that is not looking good anymore. But the other beam battleship really has to get out of line of sight of these line ships down below. Beam destroyer, beam battleship here really doing a good job. The beam destroyers, are they maneuvering around at the moment? No, they just stay defensively here as well. This one really could light up the Uzi plaque over here now. That would be a good hunt. As the second beam destroyer is bit further behind as well. Could maybe find a hit here as well. If they could find a jump on these ships, that would obviously be the massive catch before the Vindication falls. That would obviously would be a big part. Oh boy, I believe that beam just hit the friendly battleship there for a second. And that is obviously not great, as this battleship already is under fire quite heavily. It doesn't need to eat even more damage, as the Vindication here is in really big trouble. Empress still trying to finish off the Siren Smoky, but not able to do so just yet. Good damage, but not final damage. If it would at least take out the reactor and the drives, it obviously could cripple this ship here for quite a while, and maybe get a bit closer as well. Well, Siren Smoky at the moment stationary, so could already do that right here, right now. But the ships from below hitting quite hard, and this is not looking good for the two battleships here. The line ships once more have their salvos reloaded, autoloaders filled back up, as the Sprinter over here dies. Beam destroyers really important right now, as another shuttle coming around. Does it still have... No, this one doesn't have rockets. It has a gun. Beam destroyer now trying to get on target. Takes quite a while here to move around. Not sure it will be able to hit this shuttle anytime soon. Second beam destroyer could do the job though, and finish off the shuttle potentially, as the red team actually captures A point again. But that Sprinter here will most likely pay for it. Yes, it actually already goes down. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it got absolutely pulverized there. We just saw the end of it. As it got completely demolished by a full salvo of these ships. The Empress getting into position to potentially hit these ships down below with its beams. Really needs to get them on target though, before the autoloaders here on this ship have reloaded. And it's still under fire by another Ocello up here. Critical situation. Not sure how the beams on this ship are functional at the moment. They actually still work. Then this time we are a lot closer, but it's not on target. Oh, it's just slightly off. The turret not quite on finding the target onto this still fully functional Ocello. A big issue here. Next beam is firing now. Gets on target now, and this is really good range now. And yeah, now you can see this whiplash drive here in the rear nearly immediately evaporating. Not quite going down at least, but this Ocello needs to get the hell out of here. As red actually recaptured A point. Beam destroyers down to only one now though. Third one heavily under fire here by rockets as well. The Uzi Plague coming around here with a couple more Piranha rockets, and might actually be able to hit another time. No, not quite, but will get the hell out of here now. Yes, the frigate is under fire as well, and that means that the battleships have to do even more work now, as the Ocello here still maneuvers around, and the battleship with its beams not quite doing the damage that you want it to do. Really not an easy time here. With the second battleship still having all its beams, but that's kind of about it when it comes to online systems. Still 3 remaining restores. 11 still on the other one, so the battleships still have some fight in them. But it needs to get it. They need to get their beams online. They need to get their beams on target. Oh, and this is what I mean with that. A beam really on target this time around. Nearly taking out that reactor. Not fully though. Or that's actually the second drive. 2 drives here. Boost reactor. The boosted reactor could be a big issue, but it's not down yet. And the other Ocello up here is still absolutely in the fight as well, and I don't really see how these beam battleships will be able to win this fight. As on the other side, all the ships are still alive. Yes, 2 of the Ocellos are a bit hurt. They are still absolutely functional. And that's a massive, massive issue for these beam ships, as the beam turret's still reloading. Soon to be ready, at least one of them, which could be quite big if they finally could take out the rear of this ship, or maybe take out one of the turrets. But they're still struggling to do that, whilst taking more and more damage here. On the other hand, red team still somehow having more points, but points not really that important on this map. It's really a bit more of a total destruction kind of map with only 3 points, as the tick in general is relatively slow. And both sides are pretty close to each other. Both battleships really badly hurt. And yeah, the 2 line ships from below doing a absolutely fan-freaking-tastic job maneuvering around, keeping good broadside whenever the chance arises. And the beam battleships here struggling to finish it off the enemy. Another good amount of beam shots here this time around. Still, yeah, this might actually cost of not here one of his Ocellos. This Ocello actually looks kind of terrible. 3 critical failures here going on right now. You might want to shut up that reactor immediately here, as there are still 2 restores remaining. So yeah, now we have 3 critical situations coming up, and the beams continue firing. So this Ocello is dead, but there's still the 2 line ships. There's still a totally fine Ocello under black light, and the other Ocello of North still has some fight in it as well. So red team somehow having the capture point advantage, but that feels like it is about it. The beam destroyer here not looking super healthy. I mean, it did do a good amount of work on the enemy light ships. All enemy light ships actually taken out. As we still have 1 frigate on the other side, but the beam destroyer is not going to get any more good beams online, most likely, as it is getting hurt quite badly here. We'll try to get a shot onto the close farce here. If it could do a bit of damage at least onto these line ships, that would be quite it. These bulk freighters could be hurt. And maybe the sea point could be captured relatively soon as well. Beam ships here still trying to positioning themselves better. And this ship has now 8 critical situations happening. Or at least 2 of their systems are critical. I don't believe it's all 8 are critical, but it's for sure not a good situation. And this ship will go down. Like, yeah, there we go. It exploded now. So 1 Ocello down. And red team still having the point advantage is a bit surprising to me, not gonna lie. All clippers going down for sure is something nice. But both battleships are quite hurting. And this one here now is running down, is out of resource. And that's a massive issue. Doesn't have any resource remaining. Its last, these large DC lockers got shot down by this Ocello. Ocello really doing a decent job. But the other one still has 9 remaining ones, so this one still has a lot of fight in it. But I don't see it winning 1 versus 3 versus the other ships down below, so it will need the other brethren around as well. As this Ocello here now might find its end, as these hits for sure are decent. 1 cannon is disabled, but not killed off. And the systems in the rear all still active as well, so it will also put a bit more damage. And against these battleship, every single hit does count. Yes, it doesn't look like it does deal much damage, but it will soften it up further and further. Will allow other ships then to finish modules off, finish destroy one of the beams or so, take out more and more repair teams. As the Ocello over here will not make it out alive, most likely. It's really, really low, but it still has a slight bit of fight in it, whilst the 2 battleships maneuver around.
The enemy is securing zone.
But now blue team is capturing 2 zones, of the enemy. Charlie at least gets captured by one of the battleships, I believe. No, actually the frigate down here. As the Ocello still has some fight in it. And is now getting supported by the line ships again. And this is bad news for this still somewhat healthy battleship.
The enemy secured Zone Atlas.
The second one desperately trying to get its beam turrets online. Beams from the other ship continuously dealing damage here. But still nothing critical on this Ocello. Still all guns able to fire. Or maybe it lost its ammo. Actually, saying that, might have lost its magazine. No, magazine for now still alive, so it will still deal some damage. Jericho missiles coming out here. Let's see how far they can go, as the Auroras have been taken out. So actually this should be able to find home. Oh no, one more Aurora remaining. Good enough to get the kill there. As we finally see some more hits on the reactors here. But still not quite taken out. Still able to punch back against the battleship. Still able to chew it down a slight bit further. And allowing these line ships to really bring the pressure. As we see now the first turret falling. A lot of other systems here get eaten up as well. As damage is quite significant. The destroyer trying to get around. Still has its beams online. Doesn't have a frontline radar anymore. But at least able to find the enemy cargo feeder here. Whilst the line ship is opening up fire now against it. He's missing a lot. He's actually missing all shots. Oh, wow, that was big. Allowing this destroyer most likely to finish off this cargo feeder, as this is next to close to CQC here. And yeah, there we go. Cargo feeder down. Another ship going down. Only the big ships here remaining for the blue team. Whilst only the big ships are remaining on the other side as well. Now the destroyer actually went down now. Only the two battleships as damage output. With the Ocello now most likely potentially finally really blowing up. No, it still holds out longer. Okay, where is the bridge on this thing? There it is. Okay. So some more beam hits in the middle will finish off the ship. And there we go, more beams coming around. Most likely will get the engine critical as well. Okay. Yeah, more systems getting taken out. Reactor now in a critical state as well.
The enemy is securing Zone Atlas.
But, oh boy. These are good salvos. Oh boy, more and more systems here getting taken out. This battleship is dead in the water now. Has still a beam turret, but I don't believe it can be actively using it. Only as a drive and a micro reactor. And that means it's down to one beam battleship versus 3 big ships on the other side. So it seems like Blacklight and Not will be getting ahead of this. Really strong positional play here on a relatively small map, but outplaying the beams really significantly here so far, and that is absolutely important. Battleship absolutely dead. Heavy cruiser over here. Still somehow alive. But yeah, there we go. Drive's disabled. That's obviously not great. As this battleship is about to die though. Still some more shots flying towards it actually. As the heavy cruiser or the command cruiser is trying to go down with as much damage dealt as possible. Line ships directly below this one. So it will most likely show some angle eventually. And then it will be softened up even further, which obviously won't be good for it. And blue team slowly but surely catching up in points as well, with 2 points captured. And one more ship at the moment. The frigate is nice and all, but it is not an offensive tool at all. There's also no missiles really around, so having all the AA around is not good. The anti-rocket firepower here, the flak cannons only will be so good. As we're now about 500. Okay. Slow maneuvering now. Both sides don't want to lose any of their remaining resources.
The enemy is securing zone
And red actually capturing a point, but being slightly ahead in points. So that could be at least something to force the enemy to get closer. And that means getting closer with any of their big ships, because they lost all their small ships. So that could be quite dangerous for Blacklight and Offnod. As it seems like there was this realization on the other side as well. With Avalon and Hunter essentially just really camping their zones now with the beam destroyers. With the beam battleships. Can they really hold both zones with the beam battleships for long enough? There's 30 minutes remaining. Time limit actually might become of the essence here to decide the winner. With red team now getting slightly more points.
zone Atlas.
4 points every 5 minutes. Line ship still maneuvering. If they can find 1 or 2 more salvos of any of these battleships this game, then could be relatively hard pushed, but it won't be easy. Heavy cruiser moving towards the middle. Let's see how it goes. EB sitting around here still. Absolute standoff still. But yeah, blue team pushing in with an Ocello now. Pushing towards one of battleships over here. The heavily damaged one. Heating it up further. And that battleship now really should be toast. But the other battleship is maneuvering around. So, okay. Ocello has to be really careful.
Zone Comet.
Is capturing Comet. Is hitting up the battleship further and further. Actually a couple of shots onto the other battleship now. Which isn't looking fantastic either. One of the beams now being killed off as well. So, yes, even with the C point captured, the blue team still has issues. But the vindication being so heavily reduced and basically out of the fight is quite massive. Two damaged battleships versus 2 undamaged light cruisers and 2 damaged heavy cruisers. Quite the interesting late game combo.
The enemy secured Zone Comet.
But the line ships especially are the issue. +2 for the blue side now. Like Light and Off not starting to hold this, but the beams of this one remaining battleship could stop them. The other battleship will be toast soon, but Hunter now surrendering. GG. Avalon surrenders as well. And Blacklight and Off Not will win round number 3. And with that, the whole tournament. So GGVP. The old farts will win this tournament. Blacklight and Off Not with supreme maneuvering in this one. Really, really supreme maneuvering. Getting us to the end of this game here. And these Ocellos did really well for them. The line ships also doing a good job, but especially the Ocellos here. Really chipping away on these battleships so nicely throughout the game. Battleship here did deal a lot of damage as well, but in the end, it was enough to get the W here for the 2 old farts. And that was really, really well played.